If you need an affordable petrol engine daily driver which is comfortable and which has higher ground clearance with a higher seating position obviously, then the Lexus RX made from 2003 can be a very good choice. But is it really that awesome and flawless, as everyone says? Well, even this statistically very reliable car can have some specific issues which can cause a pretty big and expensive mess. So, let's begin with the damn review. The interior of this SUV or crossover, whatever you want to call it, is more of a practical place with comfortable front and rear seats and with enough space for the passengers. Most of these cars are also well equipped, and since this is a Lexus, it can have some interesting features which were awesome back in 2003. The interior build quality is also good and the materials are mostly durable, but just mostly, since there are many cases of cracked dashboards which, you like it or not, are going to crack further. This is more common on cars used in hot climate areas, but the other cars can get these cracks as well. And because of this, plenty of lucky owners had the dash replaced under the extended warranty.
But no longer.
The PlayStation 1 navigation system graphics in the older models is also not the nicest, but cars made from 2006 do have updated navigation system and parking camera graphics comparable to a PlayStation 2. The rust protection of the body is very good, which means that there should be no rust on the body panels. However, it's definitely worth to check for excessive rust, especially on the rear part of the undercarriage. Occasionally, the fuel line from the fuel filler cap to the fuel tank can start to rust as well, which can lead to a smaller fuel leak while filling up the car. But this is still not very common. As you would expect, this Lexus doesn't have many issues unrelated to engine or gearbox, but this doesn't mean that there are no issues at all. So there are many cases of broken key shells, which can be annoying. Issues with opening or closing the power tailgate are not that uncommon either. Next, numerous owners had issues with excessive headlight condensation, which over time can lead to a headlight failure, so it's good to check the headlights more closely. Because of this, plenty of lucky owners got new headlights for free, since there was a recall or an extended warranty for this.
But no longer.
Then it's worth to check the power steering fluid level regularly, since there are numerous cases of leaks from this system. Usually it's enough to replace some random power steering line, but sometimes the steering rack itself can leak as well, which is obviously much more expensive to replace. Plus, on the older RX 300 and RX 330 models, the damn high-pressure power steering line behind the engine can more often leak too, and sometimes even suddenly burst and dump all the fluid out. For more information and for some useful links, visit my website. The electronics in this Lexus is very reliable, which means that you can experience various electronic gremlins, usually just when the 12-volt battery is on its way out, or if you got water in the interior. And actually, the water leaks into the interior can be a very real, big issue on these cars, so definitely check for traces of water in the front and rear footwell areas, and in the trunk too. First, there are the sunroof drains which can clog. As the other cars, this Lexus also has 4 drains, however mostly just the front drains can clog, causing the water to overflow and leak down the A-pillars. Now, on a regular car it would be enough to clean these drains with compressed air or with some edge trimmer line. But not in this Lexus, since the front drain hoses are not going all the way out from the body in one piece. This means that the hose ends in a strange box section of the body next to the front footwells, and this box section has another drain which can clog. And let me tell you, this is a completely shit design, since when you clean the actual drain hose, you can still easily get water in the front footwells because the box section drain is still going to be clogged. In this case, the water will simply accumulate in this box compartment and it overflows through this hole right into the interior. The bad thing is that it is very hard to access these drains in these box sections of the body, and you can't really see them properly either. But there are 3 magical methods how to fix this damn issue. The first method is to remove the plastic trim, put aside and disconnect the electrical stuff, and then you will see this hole. Through this hole you can vacuum the crap out and you will get a clean drain. The second method is similar, so you will have to again remove the plastic trim, but this time you can leave the electrical stuff there and just put some metallic wire through this hole under it and poke around until you clean the drain. And the last method is to drill a hole somewhere in the footwell area and extend the drain hose to make it end out of the body as it should be from the damn factory. The next interior water leak can be caused by the outer and inner tail light seals, which can let the water to leak into the trunk floor area. But I'm still not finished with the causes of water leaks, since there are also the welded seams around the tailgate. You should definitely check them closely as well, since the poor quality body sealant on these seams can develop tiny cracks which will let the water to leak again into the trunk. Plus, sometimes also the roof rail bolts under the roof rail feet or the tailgate strut brackets can let the water in. Lastly, it's good to keep in mind 2 things related to these leaks. So, the water can easily run from the trunk area to the front footwells, and the battery in the hybrid models is located under the rear seats, which means that the water can destroy it if you won't notice the leak in time. This Lexus can be equipped with the standard coilover suspension or with the height adjustable air suspension. As usual, there are no nasty surprises related to the standard suspension. The shock absorbers can withstand a long time and they are cheap to replace. However, the air suspension is a different story. In this case, the air struts can leak and the air compressor can fail. So, usual shit. There are also the height sensors which can seize up or occasionally fail, so if your Lexus has air suspension or if it has the adaptive xenon headlamps, then it's good to sometimes check and clean these sensors. The other suspension components are fairly durable, but the wheel bearings, the front droplings, eventually the front and rear anti-roll bar bushings can be more often worn, so as usual, check for all those usual noises from the suspension. This Lexus was available with only the well-known V6 petrol engines. They can easily withstand more than 200,000 miles, but the newer 3.5-liter V6 can have 2 serious problems which can kill the engine before 200,000 miles. The first problem is related to the oil cooler lines located on the front lower part of the engine. You like it or not, over time these rubber lines will get hard and brittle and they can burst at any time, resulting in a major oil leak since the oil in these hoses is flowing at a high pressure. Long story short, if you don't stop the engine very early, then you will end up with a damaged or a completely destroyed engine. Interestingly, Lexus also realized that using rubber lines is not the best idea, so there are also the updated metallic pipes available. Sadly, they realized this issue way after the production of this RX ended. But at least replacing the pipe assembly is not hard, and actually it was already replaced on plenty of these cars since this oil cooler line was covered by a 10-year extended warranty, and in Canada there was also a recall for this. Keep in mind that the next problem is also related to a line, but in this case it's the rear variable valve timing oil line which can leak too and cause major oil loss with a possible engine damage. Yes, again. However, the good thing is that a huge amount of cars had this hose replaced in the past, since there was something like a recall or an extended warranty for this, which should be extended until 2021. So plenty of these cars got an improved line. But for more information about this, visit my website. Now let's briefly check out the hybrid version. The engine in it is reliable, the hybrid components are also reliable, and the battery pack, well, That is also usually okay, so it can easily withstand more than 200,000 miles. However, keep in mind that it is going to fail at some point, and it is going to fail earlier on the cars which were not used regularly and which were used only for very short distances. This means that before buying, it's definitely good to have the battery pack checked by the dealer. Lastly, all the engines can have occasionally issues with the faulty ignition coils. Replacing the spark plugs on the back of the engine is not easy, and issues with cracked and leaking radiator or leaking water pump are also not uncommon at all, so check that damn coolant level regularly. For more information about this stuff, visit my website. The older V6 engines are equipped with a timing belt, which should be replaced every 90,000 miles with the water pump. On the other side, the newer 3.5-liter V6 has a timing chain, which is maintenance-free, and not like maintenance-free in the service manual only. It really is like maintenance-free in real life, so it can withstand a long time. All these cars are equipped with a regular 5-speed automatic gearbox, and the hybrid models have a CVT automatic transmission. Both of these transmissions can easily withstand more than 200,000 miles even without an oil change. However, it's definitely good to replace that gearbox fluid, since occasionally there are cases of a shudder while changing gears. So before buying, definitely check if the gearbox is shifting smoothly and consider replacing the fluid, because in some cases the gearbox oil change can fix the occasional rough shifts. To summarize things up, check the car carefully for traces of water. If you are not using the car very often, or if you are using it for very short distances only, then avoid the hybrid model. If you are buying the RX 350, then don't forget the problematic lines. Avoid cars with the air suspension unless you have the money to fix it. Plus, it's good to keep 2,000 euros for the additional repairs or maintenance. And check that damn coolant level regularly. And as usual, if you have a personal experience with this car or more information about it, then you can write it into comments.